Yeah, well, we've seen some students out here the first couple of days, but today was a dedicated rally organized by students to let their voices be heard. And they came out here. A lot of the students we talked to this morning said that they wanted to share their own personal stories about what it was like in their own classroom.
We need to tell our legacy.
Have impacted us in ways no one thought possible.
If we're sick of being called the generation that only cares about Snapchat and avocado toast, then join the discourse and voice your discontent. We are a generation that will not be silent bystanders in a world full of corrupt.
While teachers made up the bulk of demonstrators here at the Capitol, there were also plenty of students that were here to tell lawmakers that they had felt shortchanged by an era of budget cuts and dwindling classroom resources.
Growing up in Oklahoma public education, we thought it was normal to have textbooks without covers. AP U.S. history books that stop at Ronald Reagan and do not include the Murrah Building bombing.
At the heart of schools, after all, is students. So it begs the question, what was the impact on students after the 2-week walkout? To try and answer that question, we traveled 80 miles away from the state capitol to Lawton, Oklahoma, to try to determine how the 2-week walkout will impact incoming pre-K students who represent the class of 2032.
Happy first day of school! Happy first day of school!
So this is the class of 2032. How would you answer the question of how well is Oklahoma right now, its school system, at preparing this new generation of students for, for what life will be like, in 2032?
Honestly, I don't think we're very prepared for that. I mean, I know that they did a little for us as far as funding, but we're not to the point where we're prepared for the future, I do know that my teachers there's a difference I saw at the beginning of this year from where we were at the end of last year. Before the walkout, I would say, I saw a renewed hope in my teachers this year. They were excited yesterday and the day before to start the new year. And last year, before the walkout, there was a feeling of Oklahoma doesn't care about us, But the last 2 days, these teachers are excited. They've, like I said, they have a renewed hope. They're ready to go. They want to start. They can't wait to see these kids, and so they're excited for the future. And so I can't tell you what the future is going to hold. I can't say that Oklahoma is going to move forward with education. It depends kind of on who our governor is going to be. But I'm hopeful, and I know my teachers are hopeful, because what they did for us last year kind of brings about hope for all teachers and hope for education. Because if they had not given us some funding, then I think it would have just been maybe, I don't know what it would have brought for August, but they're very excited for the future.
What do you feel like as a state? I mean, do you feel like Oklahoma is focused on creating an education system that, works for students, or how would you answer that question?
They put it on the spot. I would say right now, no. Kids are great resources. Anybody with a kid to tell you that's their most prized possession. That's their future. That's our future. For us to put the least amount of money to pay teachers to educate these kids, like this, you get what you pay for. So if you want a car that's going to get you from A to B and that's it, you get a cheap car. We're trying to get teachers on a bargain right now and pay them the cheapest amount that we can. So what you're going to get is the people who either are just in this because they love kids and they're going to do it regardless of how much you pay them, or you're going to get the people who are just trying to get from A to B at the end of the day. We owe our kids more than that, much more than that. Me and her, we've discussed homeschooling plenty of times. This school is wonderful. The instructors here are great. Going forward, I don't know how long we will stay with the school system, just because of the fact that if the state and the government isn't willing to put forth the effort to better our kids, I'd much rather we put forth the effort ourselves to take care of our kids.
Where should we be looking if we want to continue to grow the school system, particularly as we're talking about like elementary age kids? I mean, what do they need over the next several years?
Absolutely. Well, the world of work that you and I were prepared for is not the same world of work that we need to be be preparing this current generation for. And so in Lawton Public Schools, one of our big focuses is to ensure that when we graduate these students, we graduate them with the skills and experiences that they need to be successful. And so whether that be, you know, college experience, career tech experience, work experience, but we want to make sure that they have the things that they need to be successful beyond.
So what's the first day like? We have to show all some of that.
Yeah, it's a little chaotic. We have a lot of kids who haven't been to school for the first time, so it's a bit traumatic for them.
Tell me about that. What's the day been like for you?
It's actually been a little bit nervous. Like, she's like extra nervous, and I'm a little nervous for her, but I'm trying to stay strong.
Oh gosh, it's exciting. The kids are all happy to come back, to come and see us. It's a different experience for them because they get to see all types of different things in the classroom. So, and it's exciting. It's very exciting for us and them, I'm sure.
First day is always a rough first day. You get emotional, like they're growing up. It doesn't get easier. Yeah.
I just know education is very important. You know, we gotta fight for education for everybody.
What do you mean when you say fight for education? I mean, what do you think that looks like?
All the kids need to be educated. We need to save money and support the system and push for it.
You know, we saw the teacher walkout last year, and a lot of attention on the public school system. I'm curious, as a parent, I mean, how well do you feel like the school system is, you know, in general, is kind of preparing kids for the future, especially as you have a daughter that's starting out?
I feel more so like I feel as if they do the best they can. Like they already have a lot of pressure on them, for one, and then for two, they have to teach a certain curriculum and everything, and I trust them with my kids, honestly. Some parents may be biased about it. I'm personally not, because of the simple fact is they're here to teach our kids stuff basically the same stuff that we learned in school, and it's being passed on to the next generation. So I personally believe they're doing a great job, regardless of what happened last year. Yes, and I'm going to continue to support them regardless.
I've seen teachers, and I know some of my coworkers whose spouses are teachers, who have to work part-time jobs just to make ends meet. That's unacceptable. We are kids more than that. I'm not that old yet, but I hear a lot of people older than me complain about the current generation of millennials. What is the school system now? You said this is class of 2033. What are we going to turn out then to continue to go this route? What are we going to be thinking about then? Wow, these kids. I saw an article the other day, kids, they're in some school systems, I can't remember where it was, they're having to go away from analog clocks to just digital because kids couldn't read. What world are we living in where the simple things in life, it's easier to take them away, make things easier for people, and not try to teach them things that are, to us, are simple, to them are difficult because we don't want to put forth that time and effort into teaching them these things. You can't simply continue to push in minimal effort and expect to get maximum results at the end of the day. It's not how life works.
I mean, you're the first teacher that most of these kids are ever going to have.
Yes.
You know, this is their first experience in this school. I mean, describe pre-K to me. What's that experience like for kids coming to the school system?
I hope that it's an exciting introduction to school where we still are able to do a lot of the fun stuff. We get to play a lot, and we learn a lot through our play. So I just like to let kids have a positive first year, so that it'll hopefully encourage them to have a love of learning and a positive outlook on school as opposed to, you know, more negative.
Did you participate in that?
I did, yes.
Did you went up to Oklahoma City?
I did.
What was that experience like for you?
It was very exciting and empowering. I felt like we actually did make a difference, even though we didn't necessarily see it at the time. With the elections that have been going on, we can see that, you know, our movement actually made an impact. Of course, we're grateful that we were getting a raise. I think that that's a good start in that for future funding, and it's encouraging. It was a very positive experience.
I went to the Capitol one day, and then one day I went to the McDonald's area, and you know, it was something that we all were unified as teachers, and it was a positive experience overall.
There was some frustration during the walkout, not feeling like lawmakers were responding.
Right.
So where did that renewed hope come from? I mean, despite...
Well, they know they're going to get a raise September 1st, so that was renewed hope. And they know they have education, they have some funding for their children, you know. And so that helps. That helps, that renewed hope, you know. And then, honestly, teachers aren't in it for the money when it comes right down to it. The teachers in my building, they love these kids, you know. And when I walked into this building, and I had these teachers walk in 2 days ago, as a new principal, they embraced me. This is a family in this building, and I can only speak for where I'm at right now. And for the last 2 days, I have come to know this staff and know that they can't wait for these babies to walk in this door this morning. It gives me chills talking about it because they're ready, and they love these kids. And I know that for this year alone, they're going to embrace these kids as their family, and they're here for that reason, because they love every one of these kids as their own.
That's how long I'm going to be your friend. You ready? You want to try to sing it with me?
What do you see the impact in your classroom? I mean, a lack of funding and resources.
I personally buy a lot of stuff for my class. Most of these decorations that you see were bought either by myself or by my assistant. And my assistant does buy a lot of the stuff, and she makes a lot less than me. But she does most of the stuff, like the ladybugs there, she purchased them. So in that aspect, like, it's just, we recently got a reading curriculum, but for the longest time we didn't have reading curriculum, we didn't have a math curriculum. So anything that we did, we kind of had to create ourselves. And I know that at the other schools, like, my son is in 8th grade and his textbooks are not, you know, they're just falling apart. So, but I was encouraged at his open house because the history teacher was showing us his new textbook, so that was exciting to see.
The confidence for educators was at an all-time low in any kind of promise or hope to refocus on education. It all felt, I think, to teachers and to parents like lip service. When you have seen year after year leaders telling you that they're making this a priority, but then in the classroom you're enduring thinning supplies, tattered textbooks, and you also have growing class sizes. And as a parent, you see your child kind of crowded out with the limited time that a teacher has to give to your own student. I think people had had enough. And it was a collective, organic phenomena.
I'm curious, if a lawmaker were to come visit your classroom and say, what do you need? What should I be mindful of back at the Capitol? What would you tell them?
I would say lots of technology. We're in a world now where technology is the key to success, and I really would say that the more technology, the better. Our students, they're constantly exploring. They want more. So I would say more technology.
What's been the impact for your teachers? And we talked to some who said, they feel like they've kind of come back with, maybe a renewed sense of hope and inspiration after what happened. I mean, what are you hearing from teachers this year?
Without a doubt, I think the teachers feel affirmed. I think they feel valued. I know our community rallied around them, and they feel like the state did. They're appreciative of the legislators. They understand that it was a tough time during the walkout, but I do believe to a person, our teachers, our support staff, they all appreciate what the legislature has done.
What does Oklahoma need to be doing to make sure that these kids that are coming into pre-K this year and going to be graduating in 14 years, that they are prepared for that next level?
I think if we think about the fact that none of us owned a smartphone 10 years ago. I got my first smartphone 6 years ago. And these students are growing up with technology exponentially expanding and increasing in power and usefulness every year. We can't really even fathom what 2033 will look like. So preparing our students to be discerning, to be good users of technology, but also to be able to vet information accurately, because it used to be nobody had all the answers, but now everybody has all the answers. So how do we teach our students to be discerning consumers of information, as they have every piece of information imaginable at their fingertips? So the next generation, we can't even imagine what they will be doing or how they'll be doing it.
What part does the state need to play in terms of making sure that schools are equipped with the latest technology, preparing these students for whatever the future may hold?
The number one thing, technology, funding, all these things are so important from the state, but the number one thing I would request from the state is stability and predictability. The last 10 years have been such full of turmoil with new curriculum standards and be brought in and be thrown away, and we just need stability. In order to have some stability, we can adapt to just about anything, but we cannot adapt to constant confusion. And so give us some stability, give our schools and our public educators a high bar, step back and give us a chance to reach it, and we will not disappoint you. How do we prepare our students for a job market that is going to go on micro certificates rather than graduate degrees, where the paradigm, everything's just being turned upside down. It's a true disruption of our society. It's all technology driven, but these students are digital natives in ways that even millennials can't even fathom. And so generation gaps used to be 20 years, now they're 5.